Welcome to Castanet Penticton's Mayor's Minute. I'm Colin Dacre, joined here by the Mayor, Andrew Jakubeit.
Hello.
So at the last council meeting, there was a bit of a debate broke out among council when what is normally a pretty, for many communities, I guess a pretty quick process of handing out permissive tax exemptions, which is basically for non-profit groups in the community waiving their property taxes. Here in Penticton, the city has set a $100,000 ceiling on if the group has $100,000 worth of capital. If they have more than that, then they got to pay their property taxes. But I guess, yeah, some debate broke out on whether, and I guess I'll just get you to answer this, should the city be charging property tax on, say, the Brain Injury Society, which is providing social housing?
Yeah, and so there are provisions of the community charter that allows for tax exemptions, and then also the city has a tax exemption policy. And when the policy was written, it was sort of envisioned if you have more than $100,000 in working capital, well, you can probably contribute to paying your taxes, whether it was a complete exemption or maybe 90% or 75%, that kind of thing. And those entities get flagged, and it's up to council if we want to include them with the tax exemptions or give them a restriction or not include them. And that's where some of the debate comes in. And $100,000 is sort of an arbitrary number, and in some cases that maybe penalizes a group that's been saving over the last few years to initiate a project or buy a building to enhance their give back to the community, and so that policy I think was something as a discussion point, and the documentation that came to council really didn't give a summary of what that community group does in terms of for the community and what their budget is and how much money is being spent given back to the community. I mean, that's the whole concept behind tax exemptions is for social or for religious or cultural education or physical well-being of the community, and the nonprofits, they have very limited revenue sources, and all their expenditures are going to providing services in the community, and so waiving their taxes just means there's more money going back into the community, and that's usually why it's supportive. In the 9 years on council, we've always supported those nonprofits, so I think on Tuesday it's going to come up again, and I think there's a bit more definition around those companies, those entities that were flagged that had more than $100,000 in equity, working capital, to sort of give better details of what they're planning to do and their budgets, and give council and the community a bit more clarity on what good works they do and why they should be supported.
No, I guess I'll play the other side of this. I mean, does the city not, at the end of the day, provide services with tax dollars?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're collecting the money. I mean, are they still not doing good in the community in a way?
Well, obviously the city can't do everything, and we're not the ones at the soup kitchen. We're not the ones providing Little League soccer or other sport things or cultural events or religious opportunities for people to relax or to get in touch with oneself, and some of the core fabric of what makes a community tick. And so that's why you have these nonprofits that deliver those services, and that's why they're generally supported.
All right. So you guys have a deadline on this, end of October, for you to, I guess, submit these tax exemptions to the province. Right. So you're not going to rewrite the entire policy in that time, but I mean, maybe beyond the end of this month, is that a discussion you as mayor you'd like to see happen?
Yeah, I think on Tuesday there'll be some comments coming from council that will give staff some direction on how to reframe the policy, and obviously when you're giving away tax dollars, you want to have, it's something that we should be reviewing, and maybe, and in the past it's been, well, if you had over a certain amount of working capital, your exemption was gone, and maybe it should be those organizations, maybe they get instead of 100%, they get 90% tax exemption or 75% or something else, or there's better reporting going back to the community on what they're doing and what their capital, their savings are working towards bringing into the community, and so that's been a missing piece. But yeah, we will be looking at I think, updating the policy to make so it makes more sense for the community, and so it really would be implemented for the 2018 cycle.
Thanks. That was this week's Mayor's Minute. If you have a letter for the mayor you'd like to submit, you can send it to letters@castanet.net. Until next time.
Read letters to the editor in our letters section under the opinion button in the yellow masthead. Email your letters to letters@castanet.net.